Hey, it's day 4 of identifying the orphan spirit study, and I am really excited to talk about this particular subject, which is the subject of fear. I love talking about this subject because fear has stolen so much of my life already, and I am growing in this area, and I'm determined to not be held captive by it anymore. And I love to see other people being able to walk in freedom. Some people do not seem to be completely bound by fear, and I have to say I have envy for people like that, to be able to live life courageously and not be worried all the time. But it is something that I would say a majority of people deal with, is anxiety and fears. And so that's something that we're going to take a look at today. I want to start out by reading a little bit of Psalms 46. Take some time and go and read the whole chapter. It starts out in the message: God is a safe place to hide, ready to help when we need him. We stand fearless at the cliff edge of doom, courageous in sea storm and earthquake. And then over towards the end it says, step out of traffic. So what I always think of with this is the chaos of life and how we get so busy and just go, go, go. And it says, just step out of traffic. Take a long, loving look at me, your high God, above politics, above everything. And I love that, to step out, step away from everything that's consuming us and take a long look at who God is. So whenever you're dealing with fear, that's my advice, is just to step out of everything that you're dealing with and just take a long look at who God is. So growing up, I was scared of everything. I was scared of being alone. I was scared of dogs. I was scared of people. I was scared of being kidnapped. I was scared of people not liking me. I was scared of the dark. You name it. It pretty much freaked me out. I was scared of different sicknesses too. And so with looking at the orphan spirit, the thing that's interesting about it is, if you break down, we've been breaking down all these different manifestations of it, the jealousy, the poverty, and we're going to be looking at more. But at the core, at the root of every single one of these is fear. Fear is what happens, is what causes all these different parts of the orphan spirit to manifest itself. So it's Satan's favorite tool. He uses it over and over and over again with the children of God. And why does he do that? Because it works so good. It works so well for him. And it seems like it doesn't matter how many times we look through the Bible and we find verses that talk to us about trusting in God, we still have our lives so filled with worry, with doubt, with anxiety, and with panic. And people are looking for ways to get away from fear, but we're just consumed by it. And you'd think that with all that we have here in the Western world, we would be the most happy, at peace people, but we're not. And it goes to show that having stuff isn't what brings us peace. It can only be in getting to know our Abba Father. Why are we so unable to trust God? Even though in his word he says over and over again, trust me, don't be afraid. The orphan spirit doesn't trust their Abba Daddy because they don't know him. To trust someone, you have to get to know them, really know who they are. And what you feel inside your spirit is going to hinge on what you put in there, right? So the problem is that we have access to so much information today. We have access to more news in one day than our great-grandparents did in their whole lifetime. In one day, we can fill our minds with so much bad news. We can look up information about sicknesses and worry about symptoms that we see. We can find anything we want out there. And so after we find something to fear, people then begin to spread it, and it spreads like wildfire. And so we find ourselves cowering in our corners, in our homes, backing away from relationships, backing away from our calling, because we're so afraid, and we live our lives white-knuckling our way through. The fact of the matter is that fear is an idol. And we're going to talk about that in the post today. Fear is something that keeps us from doing what God called us to do. I've told this story before, but I love the story about Corey, my third child, when he was little. He had so much fear of airplanes that he wouldn't go out and play in the yard. He was only about 3 or 4, but he'd sit on the back porch. All summer long, the kids would go out and play. He would not go out there. And it was frustrating to me as a parent, because I thought, we have this swing set for you. We have the sandbox for you. We have these bikes and these toys for you, but you don't go out and play because you're so afraid of something that is not going to affect your life. And the thing is, we do the same thing. God has called us to do things. He has good stuff for us. but we're hiding out on a porch, afraid to step out into what he's called us to do. And so my challenge to you today is, what has God called you to do? The thing is, Satan doesn't care what you've done in the past, but he's certainly afraid of your future, and he wants to keep you bound. He wants to keep you bound by fear so that you don't step into the calling that God's given to you. And I love what Chris Valentin says, that fear is faith in the wrong God. And so when we choose to trust what Satan tells us more than what our Abba Father, who laid it all out on the line to win us back, how offensive must that be to our Abba Father? And so my challenge to you today is to lay those fears down and choose to trust in God even when it doesn't make sense. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.